you can have a stress less love, but it's what he said. It's that quote again. You gotta look at things in a different light.
Hmm.
Because everything is not that serious. And instead
Right.
of nagging, learn how to just communicate our needs.
Yeah. Yeah. And instead of complaining about them, allow them to make mistakes because they're not perfect. You didn't
But
marry
we
him
make
perfect.
mistakes
You're
too.
not perfect. Yeah. You make
Right.
mistakes.
We don't look at our stuff though.
Welcome to Journey to Joy Live. I'm your host, Dr. N. Joy, and this is episode 34. We're talking about stressless love. And I have my special guests here, Jay Randolph and Dana Randolph. Jay and Dana Randolph, they are a married couple. Jay's my cousin, and his wife is Dana. So, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
I'm Dana Randolph. Like she said, her and Jay are cousins, so that's how we know each other. I wrote a book. It's called The Purpose Wife, my only book. The only book I've written. I wrote it back in 2018 just to help out the wives, just some tips and scripture-based stuff to help with the wives with becoming a good wife and trying to have a stress less love, right?
Exactly. It's really good and well written, and I love that it's 50 pages.
Oh yeah, it doesn't take a dictionary to it's just summed all up. This is what you need to do. Here are some basic steps and I even use some of my own experience and my downfalls to help, other wives. So hopefully it has blessed you and other wives. When I first wrote it, I think we were only about 4 years in.
Yeah, just about.
I was still kind of a babe and I've even learned more since then. But I think this is year 10 now.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we need a
Mhm.
follow-up to The Purpose Wife.
I know. Yes, definitely. That's the printer.
Now you also have a platform called To Be With the Right One, so that wasn't a book?
It was not. And
Gotcha.
I thought about doing a book and it's something shifted when I got married to Jay. And it was just a lot going on with me and him. It was just the beginning phases. I'd never been a wife. Tried to prepare beforehand, but once you get in it, things can shift and change and emotions and it was so much. So it was like God shifted me on working on being a good wife, a better wife. And then I wrote the book. Started a page. I have a page on social media Facebook. And then I have an Instagram that I don't really utilize as much. We have Be With the Right One page as well. And then we started the groups, the Purpose Marriage, and we can talk
Mm.
about that later, but that is a big group. It has over 500,000 people. It started off as the Purpose Wife, and then God led me to bring the men in because men are hurting too. Men need help too.
Mhm,
And now it just is awesome being able to see everybody post and share their experiences and different
mhm.
perspectives on marriage. It's really nice. It's huge. So,
Gotcha. It's
yeah.
so awesome. It's definitely seeming to bless a lot of people. So, Jay, do you feel like you got roped into this or you guys kind of started this together? Like, how do you feel like you got into it? To the Purpose Marriage platform, Be With the Right One.
My role has really kinda, like, been in the background, but it's been one of those, things where because I had been married before and I know what it takes,
Mhm.
the ups and the downs and what you should and should not do and on from a male's perspective, when to speak and when not to speak. And because certain things it's like can get magnified because that's what a woman is. She's a
Mm.
nurturer.
Mhm.
And so she kind of nurture whatever it is that you've given her, whether it's
Mhm.
good or bad. So
We take it and
good
multiply it.
becomes great
Yeah.
and bad becomes
Yes.
worse. So it's like you have to kind of be careful with
Mhm.
that. So mainly I play the background. Would Be With the Right One, that's kind of like how we met. A friend of hers had posted something on social media.
Mhm.
I responded, and then she wound up responding, and then that's when I responded to something she said, and then I wound up sending her a private message.
Oh,
And
DMs.
that's
Dropped in the DMs.
This week, it'll be 10 years since you said that.
that was this week.
Wow.
Yeah, because remember the Valentine's event, and then
Yeah.
that's when I said, "I'm Lord, I put it in your hands. I'm just gonna be single when it's time, and I'm good. I won't focus on having a husband anymore." And he came like 5 days later.
We were literally just talking about that. When you're not focused on it, that's when they drop into your lap.
He
And
showed
but
up.
see, that's when it's supposed to happen because when you're focusing on, let's say, there's two things. There's God's will and there's God's perfect will. All right.
Mhm.
He said that there's it's in the Bible says that it's not good that man should be alone. That's man and or woman. It also says that when a man finds a wife, he finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord, which means that the man is supposed to be the one pursuing. What happens is we lose focus on that. And
Mm.
the woman is out there, she's trying to she's supposed to have herself in position
Yeah.
to be found,
Yeah.
not the one doing the seeking. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
Because then what happens is that because you're doing the seeking as a woman, you wind up seeking and looking for certain things or looking and you wind up finding the
Mhm.
wrong
Mhm.
person.
Yeah.
But when a man finds a woman, number one, he has to be ready. He has a certain
You
mindset.
shouldn't be looking
He's
till he's
looking
ready.
for that particular woman. You know what I'm saying? And when he finds her, like I said, he finds a good thing, but you have to be in God's perfect will. You have to seek him, not the woman. You seek him first. Lord, show me who it is I'm supposed to be with. Because if you're just looking for the woman, it's like there's plenty of women out there. And just like with the woman looking for the man on their own, she could take advantage of him because he seems like the word is thirsty or desperate and all that. And we sense things like that. We pick up on that. And so
Yeah.
that's what happens. And so that's why I recommend this to anybody that's out there looking, stop. Because anybody you find or anybody that's you're supposed to be with, it's going to come into your life. God is going to position you and position them
Mhm.
into the point where you guys are going to come together and meet each other, whether it's to a friend or at work or just you bumping each other at the grocery store. It doesn't matter. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
it's going to happen if it's meant to be.
Yeah.
But what it is, you have to not be so focused on it so that you can see, especially if it's not the right one, all the red flags and the different things of that nature that may come
Prepare
up
yourself.
that let you
Being
know.
patient.
Yes,
Because
that's
that's how
key.
you miss the red flags.
Yeah.
Being impatient.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. A lot of stuff goes over your head.
So
And
that's really good. You were telling about how you met though. So you met on social media.
Yeah.
yes.
I sent her a message. She said, well, she took her a minute, but she said, well,
Oh
that
God. Oh,
Oh,
Dina, let me tell you. I saw it that morning when he sent it. It was on a Friday morning.
you remember clearly.
Yeah, because I was like, I had already decided I was gonna be single and I was getting messages anyway, like just random men.
Mm.
And I'm like, I just can't do this, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is this another one that's gonna waste my time or whatever? And so I kind of went on and it's like something kept saying, open it up, read it, and respond to him. Like, okay. So I responded to him and we started communicating, from there. Exchanged numbers a couple of days later, I think.
Hmm.
we talked, we went out on a date and
Stop it.
what? Stop what?
Go ahead and say it. I already know where you're going with it.
Really? Where am I going?
Go, go.
Okay, we went out on a date. I think she was hooked.
See?
When what?
Go ahead.
When
She knew
I
she was gonna
made her
marry you,
dinner.
huh?
Yeah.
Say what?
She knew she was gonna marry you. She's hooked.
Well, no, I made her dinner. They
Mhm.
say so. She ain't left since. So
Hey,
I'm joking, but no, I did make her
better
dinner.
That's a
heart.
very good meal.
So
He
That
did.
is awesome. Yeah, Juan and I have the opposite story. I slid into his DMs, but he was liking my photos for 2 weeks straight. So maybe you could say he kind
He
of
was pursuing.
first one, right?
He-
He kind of pursued, but then I said, he taking too long. So
Hey,
I guess I was being impatient, but it worked
sometimes you gotta
out.
help Adam out, Come on. Come on.
Exactly. We exchanged numbers right away because he said, "Oh, I'm from Colombia, but call me. I promise you I don't have an accent." I'm like, "Okay." So I called him and we talked for 45 minutes. And of course, the rest is history.
Right?
Yeah, but you did mention something, Dana. So, because a lot of women probably have this story. You're just like, "Oh, I'm done. This is probably going to be somebody's going to waste my time. I'm single. I'm just going to stay single." Tell us more about that.
Well, I wasn't gonna just stay single, but at that moment, I just knew, let me just wait on God.
Mhm.
I still was praying for my husband now. My prayers included my future husband. It was just like so many men at that time leading up to Jay even sending me that message.
Mhm.
they were inboxing me a lot, like, just wasting my time. Some of
And
'em
this
you
is just like on Facebook, not even online
Facebook,
dating?
people I
Yeah.
meet in person
Wow.
even. I just wasn't in the mood at that point either. And then you get text message. I don't know. I know a lot of women can relate. This has been like 10 years or 12 years now. The what you doing, what the WYD text, and you just get tired of all.
Oh. Or
Hey, good
hey, just say
morning,
hey.
beautiful. Good morning, beautiful. The
Yeah.
same thing every day. But Jay came with something different. He came
Mm.
with conversation. He was asking
Oh yeah, Jay has lots of conversation.
a
Yeah.
lot. And at first, I was bothered by his conversation because he asked so many questions. And one of my friends was when we were talking about it, and she's like, "Dana, don't you think maybe he's interested in you if he's asking questions? Because a man is not going to be asking questions if
He
he's
wasn't
not
talking about himself.
right." And so, kind of like, okay, you're right. And we talked, and he called me every single day, texted me every single day. He never missed a beat. Even now that we're married, he calls me every single
Oh yeah.
day.
Great.
And I remember at one point, 3 months had gone by, and he called me up one day, said, "Can I ask you a question?" I was like, "Oh Lord, what?" He was like, "All this time, and you never called me first." Like it never clicked to me. I was enjoying him pursuing me, right? And that's when I knew
Ah.
for real, like he is really into me. And so I started calling him, and
So that's a
yeah,
certain point where it kind of flips the script, huh, Jay?
You can pursue and chase and chase and chase. Then some women, like she said, they like to be pursued. They like to feel wanted and all that. But this is a relationship. I'm
Men
not
do too.
hunting. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I need to feel as a man, we need to feel wanted or loved or appreciated and all that too. So I was just wondering, it's like, don't you want to talk to me? Because I've been in relationships before, and it's like the kind where it's like you do and do and do, and you spend money and you do this and do that, and they just take it and it's like, you know what? I think I'm getting played because they
Yeah.
don't show any real interest in pursuing you. And I could have went the toxic way and just ghost her and fell off and
Mm.
then made her kind of force the issue like, hey, you know what I'm saying? Like she's calling me like, where you at? I ain't heard from you today.
I'm glad
You
you
know,
didn't do
and
that.
and and I could have went about it that way, but I'm a firm believer in being transparent,
Mhm.
front. And so I asked, and I believe that is the best way to figure out what's going on in each
Communicate.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all I getting understanding. And I didn't understand why I was the only one doing all the calling.
Three
It
So
months.
sounds like she didn't realize it. So instead of you ghosting her, like, "Ugh, she's not calling me first," because if you ghosted her, she probably thought, "Oh, he's not interested anymore." But
Right.
instead, you communicated because a lot of people don't communicate; they ghost, like you
There you
said.
go. And I'm glad he did say something because
Yeah,
I was being spoiled. I was used to hearing from him every day, texting me first, calling me first. And it just really didn't click, like call him.
yeah.
It
Or
took
maybe
about
did he
3 months.
beat you to the punch too? Because maybe if he waited 6 hours, you probably be like, "Hey, how's your day?"
He called me throughout the day, every day. And to this day, he still does. Sometimes he may get busy at work and might not call, but he tries to call me a couple of
Mhm.
times a day. He does.
That's
Yeah,
really awesome because we got to keep the spark going. So you met 10 years ago, and remind me how long ago you've been married?
it'll be 10 years November
Oh,
1st.
okay,
We
gotcha.
did everything in 1 year, missed the quickness here.
It's working out because I hear a lot of marriages. It's people who are married 16 and up. They always say, "Oh, I see you guys with the PDA and you guys are all intimate and all that in public and stuff like this. Oh, when you get to 16 years, that's not going to be the case." I'm like, don't
Don't
put that
let
on
them
my
tell you.
marriage
Yeah,
because
right.
no, it shouldn't be the case. We have to keep the spark going, calling her
Mhm,
throughout the day, you calling him throughout the day. It should be
mhm.
that way.
It
Yeah.
should be. And I always say, don't let people put their stuff on you because just because you and your husband are touchy-feely after 16 years doesn't mean we won't be. You know what I mean? But people are good for that.
Exactly.
I'm careful with who I take advice from as far as marriage because
Mhm.
people put their crap on you and like, really? Okay.
Mhm.
one of the things you have to remember when listening to people and even when giving advice concerning marriage and or relationships,
Mhm.
a marriage or a relationship is like a building. And we
Mm.
have plenty of buildings downtown in Atlanta, right? All of them look different. You got some that are taller, you got some that are shorter, some that are wider. They're just different, right?
Mhm.
But each one of those buildings has one thing in common.
Mhm.
a foundation.
Mm.
So so you have to your marriage has to be based off of a particular foundation, you know,
Mhm.
in order for it to stand.
Mhm.
And you know what that foundation is, whether you're coming at it from a Christian standpoint or whatever
Mhm.
standpoint you're coming at it from. You whatever that foundation is, when things start to go awry or stuff is not going exactly how you expected or wanted to go, you focus back onto those fundamentals or those the foundation on which it was built in the first place. And then that's when it will survive. You know, like I was saying about the buildings, they look different on the outside, they look different on the inside. Some have 5 elevators, some has two.
Mhm.
But that's your marriage.
Mhm.
Nobody can tell you how to handle things in your marriage because guess what? Nobody else is
Is
part of
in
that
that marriage.
marriage.
That's right.
Exactly. Yeah,
So
that's
I
so
mean,
true.
you take the advice that people give. Certain things are inherent to certain marriages,
Mm.
to marriage. Like there's a man and a woman, and there's emotions. Women react different than men.
Yes.
Men are a little. My wife said I'm a little too emotionless,
Ooh.
but
Because that's
but
different too, because Juan can be emotional.
I mean,
You
He
got
can
some
be
like
more
that.
emotional than me. Like he
Mhm.
cries a lot and watching stuff or
Mhm.
whatever. Sometimes he calls me cold, not like in a terribly bad way, but because I might not cry if I see something, but maybe it's because of my psychiatry brain and I kind of have to like
You
protect.
compartmentalize stuff.
Yeah, I compartmentalize.
yeah, me too.
Yeah. I'm learning from him. I'm getting a lot. I would say this one thing about being married to him, he's taught me a lot of things. And just after 10 years, I'm really starting to sink into that, like peace and quiet and stop, learning to pick and choose battles and not
Mhm.
picking at him for every little thing he did do or didn't do. I didn't know any
We
better.
can do that as
Oh,
women.
it's bad.
We
Nitpicky.
nitpick.
Yeah. And he said something to me about it. The last conversation probably was a week ago or something. I don't know, forgot what it exactly
Mhm.
was. When he said that, it stuck to me. And it's like, you know what? I gotta stop doing this, because nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. It's stuff I might not be
Nobody's perfect. And if you
right.
wanna stay in the relationship, you gotta grow. You gotta
Gotta grow
change. And it's both of us, or both of you in
together.
the relationship. So I wanna jump back to dating eventually, but since we're talking about emotions, I wanna bring up because you have a whole chapter about emotions and how the wife has to work on, regulating emotions and not letting
Mhm.
emotions be the first thing because us Black women, we really feel our emotions. So
We've
what can
been
you
through a
tell our
lot.
women? Huh?
We've been through a lot,
Yeah.
Well, all I know is
but
I could say this, and this is
it's managing your
something that
emotions.
anybody
Yeah, managing your emotions.
could use. We really need to realize. It took me a minute to do it, but when I was younger, that's when I started really picking up on it. But life is only 10% of what happens to you, and 90% of how you respond to it.
Mhm.
Oh, that's good. I really
Yeah,
love that because people
yeah,
put more weight on what happens to you, the
Right.
traumas, the stress, the
Yes.
losses. People put more weight on that.
Yeah. Instead
The
of
way around.
you gotta kick it out. You gotta you can deal with it, think about it, process it, and then you
Mhm.
gotta get rid of it.
yeah.
And I only learned
Or,
that just
or
from being with him. He taught me that too. Cause my emotions was, especially after marrying him, I had an older child. I had been single for a long time. So I married him at 39, right? Independent woman, independent single mom. I meet Jay, we get married. Then CJ, I get pregnant. My emotions are just gone. Like you're in your 40s having babies, you know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
my emotions were just kind of everywhere. I thank God too, not just for Jay, but God helped me process
Being
it. He
patient.
be pulling on me like, okay, that's too much. Or don't do that, or don't say that because I'll be prepped. Like, I'm gonna say this to him and I'm gonna tell him how I feel about himself. And it was
Mm.
times when God would be like, don't say anything, right? Just be quiet. And I didn't listen. And he would literally tell me how it was gonna happen, how it was gonna blow up. I
Mm.
didn't listen, and I would go to him with whatever, blew right up.
Yeah, men
Like,
are better at not magnifying things that we do.
yes.
We nitpick every single thing.
And in order to have a stress-less love, a stress-less
Mhm.
marriage, it's what he said about life being, say it again.
life is 10% of what happens to you, and 90% of how you deal with it.
And
It's people,
yes.
for example, in jail and people that are dead because of how they
Reacted.
Responded.
Yeah.
reacted to
Yeah.
something.
And that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
So the same applies for marriage.
Yep. And
You
that
know-
goes back to the emotional intelligence. I did a podcast on that a couple weeks ago. Emotional intelligence is about being self-aware and being able to regulate and manage your emotions. So that's exactly what this is.
Yeah,
Right.
you have to. That's how you alleviate stress.
Mm-hmm.
Women are good for it. I've seen it in the group that I'm in. I've seen it just on social media. They complain a lot about their husbands. When the men come in anonymously or whatever, they're not complaining about their wives. They just kind of
Don't.
over what happened.
Yeah.
But we complain a lot about our men. And it's like instead of focusing so much of what they're not doing, you feel they're doing wrong, you got to learn how to change you and how you look at everything. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the stress can be gone, but it's up to you. But we carry that stuff. We carry what he's doing. And he's not doing enough. And like he said, the children are older now because I hear women complain about, oh, he doesn't help with the house. He's gone all day. When he comes home, he sits down. He's tired.
Tired because he's
You're
been
at
going
home.
all day.
Yeah, these are housewives.
You don't think about
Okay,
that.
you're tired. I get it. You've been with the children. Some are at school. This is what Jay has implemented. Children come in. If it's stuff that need to be done in the kitchen or in the house, he puts them to work to take the load off
The
of me.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah, take that
They're
garbage
big
out
enough
the can.
to unload the dishwasher, reload the dishwasher, sweep the floor, pull the trash,
Mhm.
things that I used to do when they were a little younger. You can have a stress less love, but it's what he said. It's that quote again. You gotta look at things in a different light.
Mm-hmm.
Because everything is not that serious. And instead
Right.
of nagging, learn how to just communicate our needs.
Yeah. Yeah. And instead of complaining about them, allow them to make mistakes because they're not perfect. You didn't
But
marry
we
him
make
perfect.
mistakes
You're
too.
not perfect. Yeah, you
Right.
make mistakes.
We don't look at our stuff though. Like he said, I used to get on him about like certain things in the room or not picking up cleaning the kitchen or whatever. And he said, well, you got clothes on the side of the bed too. Like, right? I
Oh
do.
my God.
Sometimes
Wow.
I'll put clothes on the side of my bed, on my side. So
Yeah.
how can I look at his stuff and I'm doing this, my own thing too. Yeah, I need to clean up my shoes and put them back in the closet and, things of that nature. It's little things, but you can have a stress less. You can.
Yeah, well, I may not nitpick something, but he'll come back at it. I'll be like, you didn't flush your toilet. He'll be like, you didn't flush your toilet either that one. I was like,
You see? Yeah, Jake's good for that. He'll show, or God will show me, like,
What?
before I even, before I even come to you. This took a long time. So probably about year 8 or so, he started showing me, right? And I'll be ready to get on you about something. He'll be like, but you did such and such, or, he'll put it in my head, like, but you didn't do that. Look at the desk, like my office that Jay bought me a nice desk and everything. And I have papers everywhere. But then I get on him about leaving something. And it's like, look at the desk.
And what he's prompting you to do is be empathetic or practice the empathy. And that's in the emotional intelligence. That's always good for your spouse to be able to like see it in their shoes. And
Yeah. And he works. He's up at 3:30 every morning. That he's in school to do his electrician. Okay. So he does have a lot on him. And I had to pull back because he's building a career and a future for us. All this stuff going on in the house. I work from home. God has made it. Okay, I take care of my dad during the day too, but he's made it easy for me. So it's like, you got it made in the day. What are you complaining about?
Yeah.
I believe we do create our own stress. Because we
Yeah.
about him and what he ain't doing. And he comes in the door or whatever. He's tired.
And what time does he get home?
Around 3:15.
I'm going for
Oh, that's good. So
12
you're
hours a day.
3. Okay, so you have some time left in the day. That's good.
Yeah.
But you're probably in bed by like what, 7?
No, 9.
8:30, no later than 9.
Oh, okay. So
But
could you
I
get
said
that?
all that to say,
Uh-huh.
as a wife, as a woman, I feel we can do better with supporting our men who are out there.
Yes.
They have things going on with them too that men are different. They might not process things the way we do. They don't vocalize it the way us women do. So he's dealing with things. And so I've learned to pull back and just be in support and be at peace and not be nagging him.
I could tell you how men think if you want to hear it. We compartmentalize everything. At least I know I do.
Yeah, that's definitely
So
what I do. Yeah.
we have a certain mindset that when we walk in the door, how we're gonna be. We have a certain mindset at work. We have a certain mindset when we're driving. I mean, it's like it's
Mm.
how we operate. We if something is going on, then we deal with that thing in that situation at that time.
Mhm.
And once it's settled, or even if it ain't settled, that's where it stays. And then we come over here and then we do what we got to do here. And then if we can learn a lesson from this to that, we can learn it from this situation to that situation, but we never combine the two. That's why you can act, and a man sometimes when we're sitting there doing nothing,
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, we're doing something, we're thinking.
In
It's
your head, you're
yeah,
processing a lot, you're planning, you're doing things.
like
Yeah.
playing chess. You know, you ever watch somebody play chess, you unless you know the game, you would think they're just sitting there staring at the board. But
Yeah.
it's a million different possibilities and processes and moves that we're actually thinking about and moving in our head that,
Mhm.
as it seems like we're emotionalists or when we're doing something, but we have a plan, at least most of us.
Yeah,
So
Juan tells me
it's
that
not
all the
about
time. Yeah. Well, so it's interesting because Juan tells me that all the time. He's always thinking, planning, and thinking. And what we've realized is that there's a lot that he thinks about and that he finds important. And there's a lot that I think about that I find important that I want him to think about. And then the stuff that he's worried about, he wants me to think about. Like, okay, finances, for instance. He
okay.
wants, well, why don't you think about the finances? Why aren't you planning for this? But that's his strength. And he
Mhm.
wants me to have that strength. But then when it comes to the kids or the nurturing part, I'm just like, well, why aren't you thinking about the breast?
Yeah.
Well, why aren't you, the stuff that I think about? But it's important to remember that, I mean, you have the other spouse for a reason.
Yeah.
You're meeting each other halfway. Your strength is his weakness. Your weakness is his strength. And it's
Balance.
okay. And it's great that we balance each other out.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
you should lean toward the strengths of whoever. Like
Mhm.
Dana, she's better. Like when it's time for me, like if she's not feeling well or something, she needs to go somewhere to do something, and it's time for me to fix the food for the children or do this or do that. I can cook, but she knows what the children like and what they don't like. So I'm kind when it's that time for me, what should I cook? Because
That's
I have
exactly
no
what Juan
idea
says.
what I know is good. You love what I love. They ain't eating it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm upset. Like, why don't you eat it? They looking at me like,
That's not what they
let
eat.
me tell you what I want. And I'm like, come on.
I just try to keep the peace all the way around. So yeah.
So and yeah, so and then when it comes to stuff around the house, you know what I'm saying? Like for example, things with the car or other things a man traditionally takes care of. I take care of that without a second thought. She don't think about it at all. And
Mhm.
it's like, and it's like, okay, I got to get this done, that done, or whatever. And I remember it came down to, but we had I would say a
Disagree?
conversation
Debate.
about what it was I wasn't doing and all this other stuff, and then I had to start pointing out things that I was doing that
Mhm.
you don't have to worry about. You don't have to think. You
Mm.
don't have to think about that. You don't have to because I'm taking care of that. And then it was like,
See,
y- you
every
know,
marriage has that conversation.
it was
Mhm.
like, and but that's what happens. It's like, and even what you just said, stuff that you think about, you want him to think about, but
Mhm.
it's like a team, a football team. You can't have the quarterback can't be the one to throw the ball and run over there and catch it. No, that's the
Yeah.
receiver's job.
Yeah.
He
You
can be the
know, it's
quarterback and I'll be the running.
Yeah. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right. You know what I'm saying? So it's one team, but everybody has a particular position that
Mhm.
they have to play. If
Yes.
you're so that how can a wide receiver or a lineman tell the quarterback what it is that he's supposed to be doing? He doesn't play that position.
I love this.
But they're on the same team. But and you
On the
if you
same
concentrate
team.
on doing your job and keeping this guy up off me, you know what I'm saying? Me as the quarterback, you don't line me, you're supposed to be blocking this guy to keep me from getting sacked. You concentrate on that. Let me do my job. You do your job, and then things start to flow.
That's what I put in the book, kind of like focus on what you're supposed to be doing as a woman, and you let the guy deal with your husband. Whatever he need to work on, he'll work on that. Because it's not my job to be really focused on. As long as he not neglecting the needs of the family, we're good. So
Yeah.
we're good. But you're right. We're to help. I heard this saying, people. I think you've seen it on social media where it said people not looking for love, they looking for help. I know you've seen that
Oh,
before.
yeah. Or they're
I'm gonna
looking for
tell you
their
that
other half or,
that can go any
complete
way
me.
though.
Yeah.
But listen to this. God created when he
Your
formed
helpmeets.
Eve, he said, he needs to help me, talking about
Yeah.
how
You
I'm
are
here
to
to help
help.
anyway.
Yeah.
It's not all about being in love all the time because we have a job to do and we have a purpose to fulfill as a couple.
Mhm.
He
Mhm.
can't do it by himself. He needed me, and I couldn't do it by myself. I needed him. So we're each other's help. And I hope people can look at it like that as a perspective. Yes, I should be looking for somebody who's aiming for doing their part and building.
Mhm.
Like, what else are you gonna bring? That's why it's a conversation going around about what is being brought to the table. Have you been seeing that? It's like
Oh.
the women are getting up in arms about it. Like, he never
Mhm.
asked me that because he just never did. But
Uh-huh.
I feel like it's some validity there. Like, you should know what I'm bringing to the table. Are you going to hinder me or are you going to help me? Because the Bible said I needed to help me. So what are you going to do? And I want to help him. I want to help him get to where he needs to, even if that's me just being peaceful in the house while he's building that company and doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly.
some people don't understand. You help me to help you because it's my desire for us to be successful, for you to be successful.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? The wedding ring, okay? It's it's a circle. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
No
Mhm.
beginning, there's no end. Once you put it on, you create that circle. It's like a goldsmith or whatever. When he smelts it, as soon as he puts it together, it comes and it forms together, and that's that.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the ring. There's no beginning, no end.
Right.
All right, supposed to be a symbiotic type relationship.
Mhm.
I am pursuing something for us.
Mm.
You help me pursue that. By you helping me pursue that and us being successful with that, you benefit from that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And the more you benefit from that, the more you can help me go further with it. You know, and then it creates that circle. Me helping you, helping me, helping you, helping me. You know what I'm saying? And it continues to go around.
Yeah.
And people have to find, just like with marriages in those buildings, people have to find their niche,
Yeah.
whatever it is that they can do or
Mhm.
how they are with each other that causes them to be successful in what it is or whatever it is they're doing. Like,
Mhm.
I can't tell you what she does. I have no idea for a living. I know it said she deals with customs. After that, I'm lost. But she knows I'm an electrician, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
easier.
But
Electric.
no, that's about it. When I
Yeah.
started talking about 482, 277,
Mhm.
three-phase panels and things of that nature,
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? And motor controls and things of that nature. It's like, oh yeah, we gotta put this ATS in and blah blah blah. And she's like, I have no idea what that
Yeah,
is.
like when I hear Juan on the phone, I'm like, what is he talking about? But yeah. Exactly.
Right. But that's just a part of what it is that we do. Like I said, everybody has a position,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and what we're doing what it is that we have to do
Yeah.
as individuals. And then we come together and we have like meetings to talk about where we want to go. Like when you mentioned finances and different things of that nature.
Yes. Let's talk about gender roles though, because hearing you guys talk, you guys seem to fall into that natural, traditional gender role. In my relationship, it's a lot of things are flipped. Like Juan does the gardening, and I'm the handy woman of the relationship. You know, my dad, he was the
Yeah.
carpenter. He taught me everything. Juan don't do nothing. His hands are so pretty and smooth. And he's okay with it. But you know, he's out there getting dirty in the grass. I'm like, I could care less about the gardening. And then being a doctor, I mean, everybody knows he tells everybody. So this is not a secret. I'm the breadwinner. So it's kind of
Mhm.
that. But then like I'll bring in the money, but he deals with the money because I reach a certain financial block where I'm just like, I don't do.
Yeah.
So it's like he has control over it. So he still
Mhm.
has that like he's my financial advisor. But that can be interesting because, you know, for some relationships, because we're not just talking about our relationship, for some people that might be watching this, maybe the switch gender roles, people don't do so well with that. But, you know, I'm
Mhm.
here to say it's okay. As long
Yeah.
as
Whatever works for the marriage, right?
It's
exactly.
a building. Just like I said, it's a building that each building is different.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You can't compare your marriage to somebody else's marriage because you don't know what's actually going on in that building. It was somebody we knew that say they don't trust their partner with or their wives or their husband pertinent information.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? Like some people they don't have joint accounts. You know what I'm saying? They
oh,
keep it
right.
separate. Oh, you pay this bill, I pay this bill. I don't want you knowing anything about my finances and this and that.
Or they have their separate accounts and then they have a melting pot where they each put in money.
Right.
Like we do.
But whatever works. I believe this is me personally. I believe we pay all our bills, bills that we have, we pay together, and still have our own separate on what we can, as far as like our own separate accounts. But
Yeah.
then, okay, I'm gonna just throw a number. I know it's gonna be ridiculously low, but let's say $1,000 worth of bills in a month. Then we both contribute 500. Then that way nobody is feeling overburdened or they can't do this or do that for the other person because of the fact that they're paying the majority of this or that or whatever like that. It makes it a little more even, and it takes a little. That's also helps to be stress less. You know what I'm saying? Even though some people believe that if she doesn't make or if I don't make as much money as the other person, then my contribution should be less. And if then, hey, that's what works. Once we did that, we had at one point in time we had a lot of debt. And we was like, okay, we got to get this down. And we both chipped in and did what we needed to do to knock it off.
That's where we're at now. We're trying to get our way that debt.
Listen, we did that during the pandemic, during the roughest time.
It was easier because you weren't traveling. Well, that's how we bought a house. We stopped all the traveling because of the pandemic and we had enough money to buy a house. So you have to pretend like it's a pandemic.
Worked out, right?
But hey, yeah, that's how it works. It's whatever works for you as your own entity. Two become one, and no matter what, you got to work together to make it happen. The Bible says one could chase 1,000, two can chase 10,000, which means that you can do 10 times much together, focused on the same goal than you can if you were fighting each other. House divided cannot stand.
Yeah.
What's the scripture about two is better than one because when one is down, the friend, how does it say? Which scripture is that?
Well, Neil's scripture is I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together. That was at our wedding.
Yeah. That's
my song.
What is that from the Book of Fabulous, right?
You make me better. Yes. We're supposed to make each other better. No, really.
Exactly. Make each other better.
Stop focusing on what he ain't doing. And I'm more so talking to the women because I know we get caught up in that. Focus on what you should be doing. You won't have time to worry about what he is and is not doing. I promise you.
And I guarantee you it'll be noticed. And what happened is, then that's when he ain't gonna be outdone. Men are very competitive. I'm not about to be outdone. You know? No, this ain't about to happen. So now I gotta step up. And a lot of people don't understand this in relationships. To make it stressless, you want to make it so that when things happen or when the person decides to do something, they're making that decision.
Yeah.
Like I can't force her to do something. You know what I'm saying? That she really doesn't want to do. I mean, I could talk to her about it till I'm blue in the face. I can mention it and keep mentioning it. But until she makes that decision that she's going to do it or make that change, do whatever, then I'm just wasting my time or my breath. So what I do is I just go ahead and I step up and start doing certain things. And then when she starts seeing the results of that or what's happening, how smooth things start to go in that particular arena, then that's when she say, you know what, I got to do this, I got to do that. I'm going to do like you. Or
before we end, since it's a mental health podcast, let's talk about the mental health of our spouse, because we got to make them better, support our spouse, managing our own emotions. How do we support our spouse when there's mental health issues? I mean, you don't have to be transparent or tell anything if it's personal, but you guys ever ran into that?
Wait a minute, can you explain that a little bit deeper than that? When you say mental health, like something is wrong, actually wrong with
mental health issues, whether the person is stressed out and overwhelmed, they're not sleeping, they're not eating, they've gotten depressed, they've gotten anxious, they've had panic attacks. It could be in any way. Mental health is a spectrum. So, I'm not saying y'all out there hallucinating, but if you have or if you're supporting your spouse when they've had an addiction. My husband, during addiction month, he talked about his addiction with alcoholism. He's been sober for 4 years. So, we kind of had that support there.
Yeah.
I supported him through that. And I continue to support him through that because he gets cravings, right? So mental health is very broad. So it can be in any way. You could talk generically, but as far as how others can support their spouse if they've had any mental health issues, or you can give an example. You can
I would just say, don't assume. If you see somebody, your spouse, like not talking, coming in every day, not doing anything, to kind of to themselves. I know when Jay, before we got married, I know you remember he was in that motorcycle accident.
Yeah.
And remember, I'm a new wife at that time, so I'm still learning, right?
Just got married. Yeah.
He was depressed and I never knew. And instead of me trying to figure out and find out, baby, what can I do for you? Is everything okay? I'm nagging him and fussing and complaining because you sitting out there just by yourself, not saying anything or doing, you know what I mean? You're just out there. I didn't know. So now when I look back at that situation, if I catch him in moments of, I want to know what's going on. Is there anything that you need? Anything I can do for you? Want me to just leave you alone? Whatever it is, I want to be there for you because I don't want to be nagging you when you're already depressed. You're already dealing with things, right? And then if you need somebody to talk to, I know some men feel they can't even talk to their wives, and that's okay. But as
Or they
long
feel like they have
as
to stay strong. 'Cause
right,
some feel like mental health or mental illness is a weakness. So it's
right.
good for
Well,
you to
find
recognize.
somebody to talk to. Find a friend, a pastor, whoever, pray. But you got to deal with that, whatever it is. And if I had known back then that that's what he was going through, because I didn't know until past tense, right? We were past it. What is it?
2020
Hindsight is
vision.
2020.
Yeah, hindsight is 20. Yeah, exactly.
Hindsight is 2020. So I said eyesight. Hindsight is 2020. So now that I know better, you know what I mean? If I could go back and revisit that, I would have helped him and maybe scheduled something for him to talk to somebody because he got laid flat on his back, lost his job, went through depression. I had no idea that that's what was going on with him.
You didn't know the signs.
And we were only a few months into our marriage. So now that I know him and I've learned him, if I see something that's like off or, I'll talk to him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to make sure I'm here to support you, make sure that you're feeling okay, make sure that, you know what I mean? I'm not adding to your, I'm not going to say stress because I know you're not stressed, but
Right.
any type of weight or how you're feeling about, because he has goals. He's working, he's going to school. He's got a lot on his plate right now.
I can say this that well back then the stress of the depression came from the fact that I was working. I was making a decent amount of money at the time. Then I lost it all and I couldn't work. I think I was down for a year and a half, almost 2 years. My knee, I had torn an MCL and PCL in my knee. And it was a couple other things, but so I couldn't work. And when my FMLA ran out, that's when they actually let me go. And so I was like, what am I going to do? It's like I didn't at the time have an electrical license. I don't think I was even doing real estate at the time, but it was like, then I had a new son. You know what I'm saying? It was like, what in the world is going on?
Became a stay-at-home dad for a little while.
Yeah.
And I took care of everything. He hated it, but I said, I'm here for you. I'm working. So let me take care of everything. And you're able to be with.
Gotcha. So you've seen both roles or transitions in gender roles.
Yeah. And it worked, but he didn't like it. He's a man. He wanted to get out there and work and take over. So
Yeah.
he started working, I think 16. He started with
15.
2016.
16. Okay, fine.
He got the electrician job and they kind of lowballed him, but he knew what he needed to do to get in the field. And he started off and he did not take over the bills right away. But I think maybe about 4 months later, he wanted to take over paying the bills again. It's a man thing, I guess, So
Oh, yeah.
I'm proud of
They're the protectors and the providers. So when they're not
Yeah.
able to do that, it's like they don't feel that purpose there. So
I'm just glad I was able and I was working and I was able to support us.
that's awesome.
I'm
Thank you for
glad I
being
could do that.
transparent with that. That's very
Yeah.
important because that happens where one spouse is going through some mental illness or physical illness or both. And it's a matter of recognizing that change, recognizing the signs that they're different, they're not talking all of a sudden, they're
Yes.
talkative and they're withdrawn. You never know. And just asking your spouse, what's going on? Is it something a little more deeper going on? And literally asking them, like, have you thought about wanting to die? Because that's important to know too. Because if that's the case, you really want to make sure they get the help they need.
She had to be willing to actually truly talk to me to try to figure out what's going on and approach it in a way where I felt comfortable to
Safe.
be able to say what was going on. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of that, I had to be willing to actually talk to her about it, and that is the most I have a like a set of things that have to happen in a marriage in order for it to be successful. The number one is communication. If I'm speaking from a Christian standpoint, then it's God first. Between the actual couple, communication is number one. You have to be able to communicate. If I can't communicate my needs or my desires or my thoughts or whatever to you, then we're never going to see eye to eye. But as I'm communicating those, communication is a two-way street. As I'm talking and telling you what it is that I'm feeling, you have to sit there and listen to what it is that I'm saying and how I'm feeling, and then allow me to get it out and say what's going on.
Yeah.
And then you respond, and then as you start to say whatever, I have to be able to listen to what it is that you're saying and take what it is, your understanding of what it is that I'm telling you, incorporate it into what it is that I believe I should or should not do, whether it's you giving advice or you just telling me this is going to be okay. You have to be able to communicate.
Make your spouse feel safe, because if you're
Yes.
feeling judged, then you're gonna shut down and you don't want to even say anything. Because I
wanna
know a
talk
lot of
anything.
times Juan would finally feel comfortable telling me like certain stuff from the past or whatever. And in the beginning, I would be like, well, why didn't you tell me that in the beginning? Like, well, why you didn't? And then he's like, oh, well, I'm not gonna finish telling you now. So I had to learn to
Right.
just think, well, that's not who he is now. He's nothing like that. And just think, okay, this is great that he feels safe to talk to me about whatever this thing is now.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's important. You gotta,
Mhm.
and I hate that whole thing. Oh, this is your safe space and this and that and blah blah blah. You know what I'm saying? Because, and the reason I hate it, we're Gen X. You know what I'm saying? And we came up at the it's like we got that I don't care and you say whatever
Exactly. That's
type
funny 'cause
Whatever.
I hate
attitude.
that I'm actually a millennial, but I'm the older of them, but I'm actually considered a millennial.
Yeah, but it's like with us, it's like, okay, you could say we don't have to be politically correct and we don't get offended by it.
No.
You don't have to, it's certain things like that where we can actually, talk to each other and be like, okay, whatever, this, that, blah, 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 and make it known.
Now, you started out talking about the communication. Was there like a few other pointers real quick?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
you gotta wrap it up.
okay. So it's communication and sex and then money.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
The three
yeah.
things.
Those are the three
Romance
things that are
without finance is a nuisance.
Hey, those are the three things that are going to actually make or break a marriage. If you can't communicate, then it's like, what are you guys even doing? You know what I'm saying? Sex, because it's such a powerful emotion and feeling that God has given us, it's like you have to be able to communicate your needs and desires to your wife or to your husband on what it is that you need in order to be fulfilled in that area. And then money, you guys got to come up with be able to come up with
Plan.
a plan.
Budget. I hate that's a B word in my
Yeah.
I hate that word.
Got a budget.
But you know what though? It is so easy. It is so easy. And we operate off a thing what they call a zero-sum budget, where there's no such thing as leftover money. Where it's like you take
Take it in.
if you got, let's say, $1,000 worth of bills and y'all bringing home $4,000 a month, for example. So you got 3 free and clear. There's no such thing as 3 free and clear. That money has to be allocated for something. So you allocate
Exactly.
for shopping,
Debt,
you allocate it for
savings.
savings, you allocate it for
Yeah.
pocket money, this and that. Savings is an actual bill.
It is.
That's
That's
part
what on top of that.
savings
And
is a
for those who
bill.
believe in tithing, then that's a bill too.
That's the
Yes.
bill.
Yeah.
So it's like you have to set certain things up. And then that's like, once you get those things in order, it's like everything is gonna fall in place. I think it's one more I had added to that.
Communication, sex, and money.
Mhm.
I
Huh?
love it. You should make a
Yeah.
book, Communication,
Yeah.
Sex, and Money.
Well, he
In
should
that
have
order.
been, but yeah.
All
In-
right. Well, thank you guys. This has been a very fruitful conversation. I knew it. See, we didn't get to any of those questions, but we didn't need to
I told
because we
you.
have a lot to talk about anyway.
I told you.
So where can we find you, Dana?
It's gonna. You say what?
Where can we find you on social media?
Okay.
The audience know.
Dana M. Randolph. That's my page, my regular friends page, but I do have followers on that page. We have the Purpose Wife, Be with the Right One, and then if they want to join any groups, we have the Purpose Marriage, which is a public open group forum for both men and women, and we have the Purpose Wife group. It's a private group, and then Be with the Right One group as well.
Gotcha.
That's it. I am on Instagram, but I rarely use
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah.
Uh,
And I was trying to see, Juan, you want to say hello?
Hey,
I
Juan.
knew that was you. Get in the camera real quick. We still recording, but we ended, so you can just pop in. I
Come
guess he
on.
came to get some breast milk because I'm supposed to go back to where the baby.
I am done.
Say hello.
Hello.
What's up?
We missed you.
Hi.
I know.
They wanted you to be here, but you know,
We had a good conversation.
we had a great conversation.
Trust me, we've been listening. My wife was reading the book out loud every night. Reading this out. I was like, okay, Dana.
I went back through the book
Exactly.
earlier and said, wow, I forgot I wrote some of this stuff. Like that was
You
it's
learned
so
it from your
good.
own self.
There's so
Yeah.
many gems. So many gems in
Thank
it.
you.
Mhm.
You know, and it's needed nowadays. We have to protect marriage because it's
Yes.
under assault. There's so many,
Yeah.
outside factors. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we're gonna need a part 2 with him on it. Look at this.
Yes. Let's do that. Bring us
That'd be
back.
fun.
Well, thank you
Yeah.
so much for being guests on Journey to Joy Live.